Heading into the finals every year, there always seems to be a standout team or two that seem to be a cut above the rest. Teams that embody power, strength, and the resolve it takes to win premierships. But not this year. Hey guys, Bergs here from The Casual Athlete, and if you haven't already, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any new content just like this. Also, download TBC Live from your local app store. We are running a tipping comp on TBC Live this final series, and the winner will take home a jersey of their choosing. And the best thing about this tipping comp, as opposed to a regular tipping comp where you get 1 point per tip, the more people who disagree with your tip, the more points you get correct if it turns out to be right. TBC Live is the only sports event predictions app of its kind in the country. Predict, banter, and win, and it doesn't cost you a cent. So download now, the link is in the description below, and join the finals tipping comp to go against me, Longy, and some of your favourite NRL content creators. Leave a comment down in the section below so that I know you're in. Now, on to the video. As per the title of the video, the term pretenders is thrown around quite a lot in the modern game, often describing a team that looks like they have a really good chance to take home the premiership, but when you do some digging, you start to understand that this team really doesn't have a chance in hell of bringing home the gold. And that's exactly what I'm here to do. Let me show you guys how every team playing in the final series this year are pretenders, starting with the Newcastle Knights. Oh my god, what a joke it is to see this team in the finals this year. The 16th best attacking team in the competition has scraped through by the skin of their teeth. Congratulations Broncos, Raiders, Dolphins and Dragons. I blame you. You let this happen. Ignoring the fact that they possibly have the worst halves pairing in the competition right now, and all of their attack hinges on just one player, who will remain nameless, this Knights side aren't doing anything in this final series. The Knights had a pretty soft draw, to be honest. They had 10 games against teams who finished in the top 8 this year, and do you know how many they won? One. They won 1 game against teams that finished in the top 8 this year. That lone victory came all the way back in round 3, and it was a 2-point victory against the Storm. They let the Dogs put 30 on them twice, and this was pre-attacking spark Dogs. Manly put 44 on them at Brookvale, and this was without DCE and Jake Trbojevic. They have some pretty good defence, I'm not going to ignore that. It's decent. They've got some good outside backs, and Ponga missed a good chunk of the year, but I'm struggling for any positives outside of that. I guess Adam O'Brien gets to keep his job for another year, and that's good for him, but we've seen this movie before. They finished 7th in 2021 as the 2nd worst attacking team, and they were bounced week 1 of the finals. Can they beat the Cowboys this week? Absolutely, but we'll get to them in a minute. For the Knights, I think they're just lucky to be there, they aren't a threat, and I don't expect any surprises out of them at all. Eerily similar to the Knights, this club's success hinges on the success of just one player. As the old saying goes, if Turbo's fit, then they're a smoky, and without Turbo, they're doomed to fail, but I think with or without him this year, they are definitely pretenders. While they did rack up wins against the Roosters, Panthers and Storm this year, they did lose to Parramatta and the Tigers, and we saw what those two teams were capable of in the Spoon Bowl just a week ago. One element of their season that has been pretty good is their record at 4 Pines Park. But they finished 7th and didn't get a home final, so darn, they can't use a home crowd advantage. Good on Luke Brooks, who will break his finals drought after 229 games, the longest of any player to play NRL, but I really just don't see this Sea Eagles side winning more than 1 finals game this year. The Bulldogs, or as I like to call them, the 2024 New Zealand Warriors. The Bulldogs have honestly been one of the most, if not the most, overhyped team this season. Don't get me wrong, it's great to see the Belmore faithful out of their caves after 8 years of garbage, and the bandwagon fans are fully behind this young, confident team. The Dogs had 2 games left in their season to finish as high as 4th, and with both games being at home and a home record of 10 wins and 0 losses, any normal person would have had them backed in to make the top 4, especially against sketchy opponents in the Sea Eagles and the Cowboys. But no, they completely fumbled the bag, blew both games, and had to resort to being Sharks fans on the last day of the regular season in order to secure a home final. Certainly not a position that any Dogs fan would have wanted to be in. They might skate by against Manly this week, but they have the worst away record of any team that made the finals this season. And despite the big game experience that they bought from Penrith, I hate to burst the Belmore bubble as it were, but they aren't winning the comp this year. How the hell, honestly, how the hell did this team finish 5th? I mean, I'll take it, but the Cowboys have genuinely looked god-awful at times this season. And to me, nothing exemplifies this more than their 2 massive losses at the hands of the Broncos, who were terrible this season, in which they conceded a whopping 80 points. Their defense has seemed to leak points at will this year, which probably explains why they have the 8th best defense in the league. That and their ability, or lack thereof, to hold the ball. The Cowboys on average are making 12 errors a game. That's the 2nd worst in the competition. Being a supporter of this club this year has been genuinely frustrating. I don't know what Cowboys I'm going to get from one week to the next. Let's just take the last 2 rounds as a little sample size. They had virtually a full-strength side against the Storm's reserve grade side in round 26, and for the most part of that game they were genuinely outplayed and managed to win by a measly 8 points. Then they fly down to Accor Stadium in Sydney, a place where they historically have struggled, and absolutely put the cleaners through the competition's best defence. And now I'm supposed to believe that Jake Clifford, a guy that was discarded by the Cowboys, discarded by the Knights, played a season of Super League, came back, has never played more than 15 games in a season of NRL, and has a career winning percentage of 39%. He is the guy who's supposed to manage the game and guide us to a victory in the first weekend of October. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that book. I've already read it, and I've got the t-shirt. No thanks. For what it's worth, I don't mind the Sharks this year, but I'm not so sure that's a compliment considering the other options that we've been given. Despite the fact that this club hasn't won a finals game since 2018 and they've made the finals every year with the exception being 2021, I've possibly got 2 little words that might explain why they keep making the finals every year. Soft draw. Over the last 3 seasons, the Sharks have played just 29 games against top 8 opposition, and this is comfortably the least amount of any team in the league. While I get it, it's not their fault for this, they don't set the draw every season, it possibly provides us an explanation as to why they aren't as well equipped for high-level games like finals. So imagine my surprise every year when they get bounced out of the finals week 1 or week 2 without so much as a, "Hi, how you going?" The Sharks have stage 5 stage fright. Good in the regular season, but not good enough to play with the big boys in the postseason. Side note, why did they take so long to play Kale Iro? This kid has been on the bench for at least the last 3 seasons, and I've been calling for him to start, and now he's possibly one of the best centres in the game. Just stupid. Ergo, scared to make big decisions. Ergo, massive pretenders. Okay, I know what you're going to say here. But Bergs, the Roosters had all these injuries, and before those injuries, they were about to go on a massive premiership run. Shut it. This club was by far the biggest flat track bullies this season, injuries or no injuries, and you only have to look at their season as a whole to figure that out. Ooh, I bet they felt like big guys putting 60 on the Dragons. Oh no, I can't believe they put 44 points on the Titans. Yep, those results are definitely going to strike fear into the hearts of most teams. But in all seriousness, the Roosters played 10 games against top 8 opposition this year, and they only won 3 of those games. And while most people will tell you it doesn't matter purely because it's finals, it does. And it's the most recent collection of data that we have to go off. Congratulations though has to go to Teddy for having a nice bounce back year, but this Roosters side hasn't managed to string together more than 4 wins in a row and can leak points like nobody's business. Compounded by the fact that their defence is the 5th best in the competition right now. Whilst the injuries make them less of a threat than they probably would have been, it's good to see that they've got a nice excuse lined up when they eventually get bounced. We have not seen a Panthers side this vulnerable for a number of years, and this season they are ripe for the picking. They managed to rack up 17 wins this year, which is quite good, but when you compare it to their other seasons, it's the least that they've had since 2019. Plus, their famous defence, which is still the best in the league, it has also conceded more points this year than any other since 2019. And then we move on to Nathan Cleary. This season, he's missed the most amount of games in a season of his career since he debuted back in 2016. He's an amazing player, and we've all seen what he can do on a big stage, but his absence has created question marks for the rest of this Panthers side. And for mine, the people who say that they can do this without him are dead set delusional. Did you see Luai against the Raiders? Did you see him against the Titans? The point is, this Penrith team have had to grit their teeth and bear it this year, which is somewhat admirable. But am I prepared to back a team that was literally praying for results to go their way in the final rounds of the season? I don't think so. And that brings us to the Storm, the minor premiers, the team everyone is measured against and has no holes in their game whatsoever. Not. The Storm might actually be the biggest fake minor premiers I've ever seen. Let's start with their defence. The Storm have the 4th best defence heading into the finals this season, and the only team to win a competition without having a top 2 defence was the 2015 Cowboys, and their defence was the 3rd best in the competition. You have to go all the way back to 2005 to find a team that won the comp without having a top 3 defence. Defence wins championships, baby. They've also been in a lot of tight affairs this season, winning 8 games by 8 points or less, often getting out of jail with a piece of brilliance from a lesser known player, which you could see as a positive, but I see it as just skating by. Since the retirement of Cameron Smith, the Storm have played in 6 finals games, but they've only won 2. And while I admit there is an adjustment period that comes with losing such a big influential player, the spine that they had from that 2020 grand final are virtually the same. And let's talk about that spine for a moment. Pappenhausen, Munster, Hughes, and Harry Grant. All are terrific players in their own right and possibly are the best spine in the competition on paper. But all up, they've played 14 games together across the last 4 seasons, and when they are in the side together, from what I've seen this year, it looks more dysfunctional than a well-oiled machine. Is it Munster's team? Is it Hughes' team? Grant has had a statistically down year, and injuries have definitely ruined the progression of Ryan Pappenhausen to the point that there's a legitimate argument that can be made for Suafea-Longo to be starting ahead of him each and every week. And now we're just expected to forget all of this and blindly back them as the rightful favourite to take home the premiership. No thanks, I think I'll pass. So what does this mean for the climactic ending to the NRL's 2024 season? Well, if you're a fan of one of these teams and you've managed to stick around to the end of this video without getting triggered, I admire you for that. It means that with all of these teams in the top 8 having genuine faults, that the competition is wide open. It's the biggest punters market we've ever seen, and I absolutely love it. Every team in the top 8 has a legitimate chance of taking home the silverware. It'll only take 3 or 4 wins in a row to take home the crown. And in a season that has been wild with upsets, it's only fair that the competition be as level as possible for the last 8. If you like this video and you want to see more content just like this, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Please download the TBC Live app, the link is in the description below, and join in the finals tipping competition. And I'll catch you on the next one.